1 month ago, I purchased the iPhone XS, and at the time I had some reservations about upgrading from my trusty iPhone 6S to the iPhone XS. So in this video, I'm going to revisit my experience over the last month in the hopes that I can help you decide if it's worth upgrading. So let's go. Hi, my name is Pete, and this is Studio Live Today, where I help you create, record, and release your best music. And part of my music creation process is using iOS devices, particularly my iPad and my iPhone. Now, my iPhone 6S Plus was super trusty and reliable back in the day, but over time, the battery life started to decline, the processor performance was starting to not keep up with the latest apps, and the amount of storage space I had on there, 64 gig, was just not cutting it with all of the different data file transfers I needed to do with all of the audio and the video. So I did upgrade to the iPhone XS. So here we are a month later. What am I liking about it? What's frustrating me? And do I still recommend this as an upgrade path for you? Well, let's dive in now and take a look. Okay, so let's not bury the lead. Headphone jack, right? Has it been as big of an issue as I thought it was going to be going in? And by the way, if you didn't check out the first video, you can take a look at that up there and down below as well. Well, no, I've had to have my dongle with me at all times, and I have lost my dongle a few times, but I tend to keep it connected now to my headphones. And yes, I could use wireless headphones, but I don't want to. I don't like Bluetooth headphones. I don't want to have something else that I'm charging, and they also have some latency if you're using them for music or for video. So I didn't want to do that. So what was the issue here? Well, it was that I couldn't actually charge and use these headphones at the same time until I invested in one of these. So yes, you have to keep buying more things. So this is a wireless charging pad, and all you need to do to charge up your phone is place it on the wireless pad like that, and it charges. So this is plugged in. It's just got a USB at this end, USB connection, plugs in, and it charges. So then I was free to, while I was laying in bed overnight, I could listen to my podcast, I could listen to music, and charge my phone at the same time. So that has been a solution. It's still a bit of a pain when I'm on the go because I can't actually use a mobile battery at the same time as I'm charging. I suppose I could take my charging pad with me and plug that in, but yeah, too much stuff going on there. But the good news is, battery life wise, this thing lasts the whole day, or almost the whole day if I'm using it for a lot of heavy use. So battery life has meant that the headphone jack charging port situation hasn't been as bad as I thought it would be, and it's definitely not a game changer. Now, what about music creation and video editing and that sort of thing? Yes, it is slightly inconvenient that when I just want to listen back to a track, I can't plug straight into a headphone jack. But again, my lightning dongle to the rescue. That does okay. I can just use my regular headphones, and I can, of course, plug in to an audio interface. So I can still use a USB audio interface and use my lightning to USB 3 plug that has a lightning adapter as well. And then I can charge my device and use my Steinberg UI12 or any other USB device at the same time. So has not having a headphone jack changed my world as much as I probably thought it would? No, not really. It's quite easy to work around as long as you have a wireless charging pad, and that's about $20, so it's not a huge investment considering the cost of the phone, and one or two of the dongles handy. So slight inconvenience, but considering the other things we're going to talk about that have been working well, the headphone jack's not a huge issue. Okay, the second biggest concern I had going in was the screen, both the screen size, the screen resolution, as well as our little notch over here. All of those things worried me, and yes, they have had an impact. I'm getting used to the notch. I still don't love it. I don't love the rounded corners on this screen. I prefer a nice crisp rectangle, and the resolution has been a bit of a pain. So when I do tutorials on GarageBand, as you know I do here on the channel, or if you're new to the channel, I do a lot of GarageBand tutorials. This is not a 16:9 screen. It is a wider screen resolution, and that means that when I'm creating videos and when I'm doing screen captures, we get that barring. So it's going to be wider than our standard screen. If I'm creating a video, it means it's going to cut off the sides if I'm demonstrating GarageBand and using screen recording. So for that reason, I've still got my old iPhone 6 and I do all my GarageBand screen recordings on that. So can this be my one replacement device? Well, not really right now, and I haven't been able to figure out a way. I don't think we can force it to go back down to that 16:9 resolution. So that is a little bit painful. The actual quality of the screen, really, really good. Love it. Love the OLED display. The little notch, as I said, I don't love, and the rounded corners I don't love, but I'm getting used to them. So if you don't create tutorials, you don't desperately need 16:9 resolution for creating video, then it's actually okay. The other concern though with the screen is the lack of the button. As we play some notes there, So not having any button at the bottom of your screen means that a lot of the applications go right to the bottom. So I'll just show you, you won't be able to see particularly well, but I use LumaFusion for my video editing. And what you find here is that a lot of your options are right down here by the very bottom of the screen. So I'm used to having them up here because you've got your strip with a button, but now that I don't have a button, I don't actually have that. While we're talking about buttons, am I used to swiping up instead of pressing the button now? Well, I'm getting used to it. So if you're not aware, when you're using an iPhone 10, instead of clicking the button, you actually just swipe up, and instead of double clicking to go to your apps, you sort of swipe up and hold, and then you can cycle through your app sideways. So you can't see that very well, so I'll put that down there. But have I got used to that? Yes, that wasn't much of an adjustment to get used to. It's just the problem of having the screen going all the way down to the bottom, and that's why I've never liked these whole full display phones, because it's a little bit fiddly. I'm getting used to it. Again, it's not a game changer, and the quality of the screen and the processor and the memory and all of that is so good that I'm happy to deal with it. But it's something to keep in mind if you are considering upgrading. So what about Face IDs? Now, if you're not aware, the iPhone 10 uses Face ID, which is facial recognition, to unlock the phone. So instead of tapping and holding your thumb and using fingerprint scanner, you actually use your face to unlock the phone. Now, it's worked most of the time, probably 98% of the time. In the dark, it tends to struggle, and when you're using your phone at various different angles, sometimes it doesn't quite work, but then it's just a matter of putting in your code and you're away. So I actually don't mind the convenience of the Face ID. You do have to use the side button and tap and double tap on that. So if you use your Face ID to make sure you confirm things, you double tap on that button. So if I'm buying an app on the App Store or something like that, as I want to do, then I need to double tap after it recognizes my face. So you're not going to accidentally just stare at your phone and spend $50 on the App Store. You still do need to confirm it with a physical button. So I'm happy about that, because I was a little concerned that every time I looked at my phone, I'd end up buying something by mistake. So Face ID, yep, no problems, going well. Now, one other thing that has been concerning me a bit with this phone, and it has been a heat wave here in Australia, so it's been 40 degrees and up to 46 degrees on some days, but when I've been outside using it, it is getting very hot. Now, I'm using a thick plastic case with a screen protector, so I'm actually adding to the problem here, but when I was outside using it, it would start heating up, and then it would start sort of slowing down. So I think there's been some issues where it's been overheating, but again, this is probably not the device's problem, and unless you're outside in direct 40-degree sunlight on a regular occasions, is probably not going to be an issue, but it's something to keep in mind, and maybe I need to get a different case or a different cover or something like that. But it's not a game changer. Again, I just put the phone back in my pocket, let it cool down for a bit, and then pull it back out again. They're probably not designed to be heating up to basically what will be probably 50 to 55 degrees Celsius in direct sunlight. So that's just one more thing to keep in mind. But let's now dive into what I'm actually liking and loving about the iPhone XS. Okay, processor speed. It has been amazing. It runs all of my applications super well, super fast, no glitches, no errors. I don't think I've had a single crash, or maybe one or two application crashes in the time I've been using it. And comparing it to my iPhone 6s Plus that was getting a bit older and had a lot less storage and a lot less processing power, it really wasn't cutting it with some of the apps that I was using. Now, keep in mind, I use a lot of apps like LumaFusion and GarageBand, and I use plugins, and I use a lot of processing power and a lot of storage space for my media files. So your average user is not going to have the same sort of issues, and you may be able to get an iPhone 7 or 8 or the 10R and be 100% happy. But having the processing power of the 10S has really made a difference, and with my workflow, it's sped things up and made things quicker. And now I know storage space is not something that's specific to the iPhone XS, but upgrading my storage from 64 to 256 has made a big difference. It means that I can do a whole bunch of raw video footage and keep that on my phone for longer. I can keep my edited versions of my videos on there. I can keep a whole lot more GarageBand projects. I can have all of my apps and all of my samples on there for music creation, and they can all sit on my phone. I don't have to play the roulette game of which app do I delete so that I can render out this latest video, because I've only got 2 gigabytes of space on my whole phone. So 256 gig has been the perfect amount. I was tempted to go 512, but it was that big next jump in the price point. So 256 has been really good for using GarageBand, LumaFusion, and all my video editing and music creation applications. And on the topic of video, what about the camera? Well, what about this camera, or these cameras? As I mentioned in the last one, we've got 2 cameras on board, plus the front-facing camera, and they all produce really good quality images. So I started doing videos and I started recording, and a few people have actually noticed and said, hey, the quality of your video has really improved. And it has been mostly because of this. I do use my webcam, as I'm using now for a lot of videos, as well as my digital SLR, but this means that I can just do a whole lot more filming on the go, just hook up an interface, hook up a microphone and film with this camera and know that I'm going to get some of the best quality video footage from a mobile phone that is going around right now. So camera quality of this one, really good, really sharp resolution, really good clear tone in the video. So camera, big tick. And finally, just in terms of overall usability, I really like the form factor of this. It fits in the hand really nicely. Despite my concerns about the length of the screen and the resolution, it is actually a really good fit. I'm glad I went with just the XS, not the XS Max, even though I came from the 6S Plus. This has still got a decent sized screen. My big thumbs and fingers can still touch things, and we've got enough screen size and resolution to get everything done that we need to do. So my overall user experience has been really positive. Keep in mind all of the things that I've talked about and all of the challenges that I've overcome, but it's amazing how quickly we adapt. And here I am 1 month later, and I've definitely adapted to a lot of the different changes that I've gone through, and I'm now completely comfortable using the iPhone XS. All right, conclusion time. Should you upgrade your current iPhone to an iPhone XS? Well, the answer is a resounding 100% maybe. And I say maybe because it depends on so many factors. This isn't an ad for Apple. This isn't an ad for the iPhone. If you are 100% comfortable and 100% happy with your current phone, I say don't upgrade. If you don't have a need to actually do something that your phone can't do, or you're not being frustrated by the limitations of your current phone, I say don't upgrade. Don't forget, my job here is to help you create, record, and release your best music. Now, if there's something in your hardware that is stopping you, if you're constantly seeing optimizing performance, or if you are just, your phone is crashing, it doesn't have enough storage space, you can't create your best music, then maybe you need to consider upgrading. If you're not having any of those problems, get back to creating music and don't worry so much about what you're actually using. Find a reason why you need to upgrade when you have a reason to upgrade. Unless, of course, you just want a shiny new toy, in which case, go out and buy a shiny new toy. Thanks for watching this. I hope you found it useful, and if you're considering upgrading, this gave you a little bit of real-world user experience from someone who has made the switch and is pretty happy about it because I needed to do it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next video. Hey, thanks for sticking around. If you are in the market for a new iPhone, head over to studiolivetoday.com/iPhone. I've got my complete guide there. You can see all the different models, their compatibility with GarageBand and other applications, and all the model numbers so you can find the one that's right for you. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.